Hello and welcome. I am so grateful that you are here. We are about to jump into a super powerful conversation that is going to support you in selling high ticket coaching. When we're speaking about high ticket, right, I always believe that high ticket is anything from $5,000 and up. Even I would consider $3,000, even $2,500, again, depending on where you're at. There's no set, this is high ticket and this is not. I would say something like $2,500 is kind of mid-range, $1,000 to $2,500 is about mid-range. Anything from $3,000, $5,000 above is what I would consider high ticket. And what I would love you to drop in the comments is how, out of 10 right now, how confident do you feel in selling high ticket? Cool. So this came about, it was with a client recently, and we were looking at her income, we were looking at her numbers, we were looking at her product suite, and we had everything up on a screen together. We were going through everything under the hood in her business. And we were looking at where she is and the income that she was making, and then the goals that she wanted to be achieving in her business. And the biggest gap that I could see straight away, instantly, was if she was simply selling high ticket, she would be crushing her goals. But the problem is that so many spiritual entrepreneurs have this belief or have this fear of selling high ticket, and this belief of, I don't want to charge too much, or I feel like my gifts should kind of be for free, right? I know that we're here and you're not giving them away for free, but these are all the underlying beliefs. Maybe you're telling yourself that you want to keep your prices affordable. Maybe you're telling yourself that you don't want to charge too much or outprice yourself or be too big for your boots. And even though deep down you want to be charging more, right? I see this a lot. It's spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, healers. You've got this amazing impact that you're here to make in the world. And I constantly, like when I'm looking at someone's business and I'm seeing exactly what's going on, I'm like, well, if you were just selling like $5,000 offers, if you were selling $5,000 as easily as you're selling $50 offers and $500 offers, you would be crushing your goals in no time. You'd be making so much more money. But the obstacle is really, there's a couple of different shifts which we're going to go through today. I'm going to walk you through the 7 pieces that you need to shift to start selling high ticket. But one of the fundamental shifts is realizing that you're worthy of charging high ticket, right? Your work is insanely valuable, right? Like your work changes lives, right? Drop an emoji in the chat if you are here knowing that your work changes lives, knowing that you're on a mission in this life and in this world to make an incredible difference in people's lives, to help shift the collective consciousness, to help bring more love and more joy and more happiness and more success and more abundance and more healing and more health and more wellness into reality, into this life. That is the nature of your work. And that is phenomenal, right? I'm loving the emojis. I feel like I should see everyone dropping an emoji right now. I feel like this is all of you. You deserve to be paid way more for your work. Way more for your work. Now, when I started my business in 2018, at the start of 2018, I was selling coaching sessions for $25. You guys, this is insane. $25. I was selling 4-packs for $100. It's like, you can buy 4 coaching sessions with me for $100. And then after that, I was like, oh, maybe I could charge $100 for a session. And that felt so scary. I remember getting an inquiry in my DMs about someone wanting to book. I was doing readings at this time. I was a reading or a coaching, and I was with my friend and I said, oh my gosh, I just got an inquiry in my Instagram DMs. This is so exciting. I kind of want to charge $100. Do you think that's insane? And she was like, you should do it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember replying to this person, absolutely, I would love to help you. It's going to be $100 for a session. How does that sound? And the response was, that sounds great. Send me the link to pay. And I'm like, she was paid $100 for an hour of my coaching. Oh my God, this is insane. But then I was sitting there one day and I was on a consultation. So this person paid $100, and then I was sitting there. It was in the early stages of my business, and I had just gone full time. I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. I had no idea how I was going to pay my mortgage. I had no idea how I was going to make anything work, but I just knew in this exact moment when I was in corporate in about April 2018 that I had to quit, that I had to go all in on this idea that I had for helping more and serving more people. And I was sitting there on this consultation with an inquiry that had come from Instagram. I was doing live streams. I was doing like everything that I could. I was posting daily. I was building relationships. I was going hard on social media. I was sharing a blog. And before I had any paying clients, and they were starting to trickle in. And I remember sitting there after I'd quit corporate, and it was like my first week full-time, or first couple of weeks full-time in my coaching business. And I had this inquiry, and I booked a free consult with her. And we were chatting about where she was, where she wanted to be. And then I was like, well, I can help you achieve that. How about you do 2 sessions? And so she booked 2 sessions, and it was like $200. And I'm sitting there and this is say midday, and I've got the rest of the afternoon. I'm like, now what do I do? And where are the next inquiries coming from? And I had this epiphany in that moment that if I wanted to do what I was doing full time, and for my husband not have to rely on just my husband scraping by, it's a whole other story, right? He was at corporate. He was like, you can't quit. You can't quit your job. We've just bought a house. How are we going to pay for the mortgage? I said, I'm going to do anything I can to make it work. And he said, okay, all right, let's do this. We'll figure it out. He was making enough for us to scrape by. Like we would be okay. We'd be able to put food on the table at least. But that's not who I am. I'm like, I'm here to go big. I'm here to contribute. I'm not here to play small. I'm not here to fuck around. Like I'm going to make this work. If you believe in me, I am going to make this work. I'm going to do everything in my power to make this work. And so after this free consultation that I'd done, where she was like, cool, I'm going to pay $200. I'm like, okay, that's one sale. Amazing. But it's $200. Like that's not even going to buy my groceries for the week. Holy shit. I need to think differently. Like this is not sustainable. And I could see it in that moment. Now, my background, right? I have a background in psychology. I've been in leadership, but I was a travel agent for several years. And when I started my career, my professional career, and I was selling as a travel agent, I was selling holidays for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. And so I was selling these services. I would make a little commission. I would get a little salary. And I was just helping people achieve their dreams. I loved to travel. I've traveled a lot. Drop a yes if you're also a fellow traveler, adventurer. I feel like I'm such a gypsy spirit. Whenever I'm somewhere too long, like this is nice, but what's the next adventure? What's the next piece of travel that we're gonna do? Right? And so I believed so much, right? Just like you believe in your work, right? You believe in the transformation of your work. At the time, right, when I was a travel agent, I believed in travel. I loved it. It was my passion. It was like anything travel. I used to have like maps on the wall. I still to this day, I have the plane app on my phone, and I love, if a plane's coming in, I'm like, oh, what plane is that? What aircraft? Like I'm such a nerd when it comes to that. Right? I love that. And so it's very easy for me to help someone achieve their dreams. Their dream was travel. Their dream was a holiday. And I remember distinctly this one conversation with this woman who was deciding whether she should spend $25,000 for flights and insurance and a couple of hotels and a hire car, not including the rest of it. That was just what I was helping her with for a trip. I was living in Australia at the time, for a trip to Europe with her family, or if she should buy a new car. And I remember sitting with her in that moment going, well, I mean, like, it's up to you, but what are you going to remember in 5 to 10 years from now? When you look back at, you know, when your kids are this age, what are you going to be more happy with? And she was like, I'll just go away and think about it. And then she came back the next day and she goes, you know, I've thought about it and you're right. My kids aren't going to remember a new car. Our car is fine. We just want to upgrade it. Let's do the holiday. And so I remember she came in and she paid 20 grand. And I was like, she's just dropping 20 grand? Holy shit. And then she told me, I've been saving for that. I've been saving for that. I'm so excited to give this gift to my family. And so when I had that epiphany in the first week in 2018, when I started my business, I, at the time, had just gone through addiction recovery and completely transformed my life. I'd bought my first house, which we would then go on to sell, but that's a whole other story, to go all in, next level in the business even more. That's a whole other story, right? But before that, I was a party girl, I was drinking, I was a hard worker, I was a high performer, right? Probably like you go all in your work, you go all in whatever task you're doing, right? But my life was a mess. My relationships were broken, my friendships were all fractured. I had so much anger and resentment. I would have emotional breakdowns all the time. And then I went on this healing journey and my life was unrecognizable. I was happy. I was peaceful. I had positive relationships. I got engaged. I was always the girl that could never hold down a relationship because I was just too flighty. It was too much, too much, that relationships would always disintegrate. And so as I was sitting there into this journey, 2 years into this journey, my life was unrecognizable. My family relationships were healing. My relationship with my mom was better than it ever was. It's continued to get better. I had beautiful friends in my life. But for the first time, I was like, I think I've stumbled on a secret of the universe. I didn't focus on anything external, yet my whole reality is different. All I focused on was me. Now, I didn't realize at the time that there's a word for that, and it's called manifestation. And I was teaching this concept in my sobriety blog. And I'm like I feel like I've just unlocked this miracle. Like, you can find happiness and you can achieve whatever you want. And like, everything on my vision board was coming into reality. I got proposed to, I got engaged, I bought a house. I was super healthy. I had more energy than ever. These are all things that I was manifesting. These are all things that I was like, that would be nice to have. I don't know what I want. I don't know the direction. So I knew the value of my work because I had just walked through the fire, the darkness, the shadows, and I'd just come from a hell that I never wanted to go back to. And now I was experiencing my heaven on earth. And so I'm like, well, if someone can spend $20,000 on a holiday, if someone can drop $10,000 on a holiday, they can pay thousands to change their life. Because I know what that's going to do for their family. I know what that's going to do for their relationships. I know what that's going to do for their happiness. I know what that's going to do for their bank account. I know what that's going to do for their wealth. I know what that's going to do for future generations. That is insane. And you guys, we're here having this conversation because you're in the same industry. Your work changes lives. And as soon as you see that, as soon as you truly see who you were and who you are now, let alone all the client results, right? If you sat down and you look at your client results, I'm going to share with you the 7 steps in a moment. But if the first thing that you do and the only thing that you take away from today is you begin to truly see and embody the value and understand, or understand, really, it's a bone deep knowing. I can tell you this, but it's going to require you to feel it. It's going to require you to know it in your bones. Can I get a yes if you're feeling this? Amazing, Kate. That's awesome. I love my adventure queens. Travel. Boom. Right? I can tell you your work is life-changing. But in order for you to be selling high ticket, in order for people to be paying you $20,000, $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 for your work, you have to believe that. Right? And that's the work that you're going to, no one can do that work for you. You're going to have to do that for yourself. I can show you, I can give you insights, and I can give you tools and techniques, but that's what you're going to have to do. Right? And so the opportunity that we've got here today and what we're going to be uncovering and what I want you to walk away with and what I want you to receive and the value and the knowledge that I want to impart on you is I want you to freaking deeply, deeply, deeply understand how valuable your work is so that you can start selling high tickets, so that you can start being financially compensated, so that you can achieve your goals, so that you can serve bigger, so that you can live the most amazing life. Because you're not here to play small, right? Drop a yes if you feel this in the comments. You are not here to play small. You have always felt different. You have always known that you're different to people around you, different to people in your family. You're different to your friends. People are talking about things. There's like, maybe there's big friend groups and you're like, I just feel different. And that is because you're here to change the game. You're here to live a big life. Way bigger than you're currently living, but you're trying to play by old rules. You're trying to downplay what you're actually doing in the world. You're using old paradigm thinking, and we're gonna walk through this in a moment. But what I want you to really do is fucking blow up your income. I want you to be making so much more money. I want you to feel deeply valued by your clients. I want you to feel deeply compensated. What will you be able to do when you're way more financially compensated? How will you feel by being more financially compensated? How will you feel having clients say how much they value your work by, not by words, but by paying you really good money and receiving really good money for your work? How would that make you feel? Just drop one word in the comments. How would that make you feel to be deeply, deeply compensated, valued, and receiving 5-figure payments for your work? So what I realized that first week, 2018, is I have to do things very differently. Very differently. Now, my role before, directly before starting my business, when I just quit on the spot, I walked in one day, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. I'm out. See ya. Bye. I might have handled it a little differently now, but here we are. And I was part of a mentorship program in my career. The company was paying for it. And I knew that it was about $20,000. And I knew that now at the time I was helping people change their lives, step into happiness, but also address their relationship with alcohol. That was like the main thing. I'd just gone through addiction recovery, I got myself sober, and it was a massive process. And I wanted to be the person that I wish that I had on my journey. So I knew the value of that. My life had changed so much, and I wanted to share that with others, right? I believed in it so much. And so I knew the pricing of education, of personal development. And I worked out how much had been spent on me and my personal development to get me to where I was in my leadership. In corporate, I was in management, I was always in leadership, and I was constantly going to different trainings. You go to a day and you do like leadership trainings and management trainings, and you do those really cringy exercises, and you've got to stand up and you've got to practice your public speaking, you've got to do all these things. And I worked out that the companies that I had worked for had invested at least 6 figures into my development, into my leadership and professional development. So with that psychology, right, that's what shifted. No one said you need to sell high ticket. I just worked out, if I want to achieve the life that I want to live, and if I want to be doing my work, and if I actually want to be helping people full time, I need to make this work, and I need to be charging more for this. And so I didn't go from charging $100 a session to $10,000 overnight, right? I worked my way up. First, it was $100 a session, and then I started selling $1,000 packages. So instead of one session for $100, I just started selling 10 sessions for $1,000. And if someone paid in full, they could pay on payment plan, or if they paid in full, it would be like $800. Right? Again, I just took everything that I knew from my sales background and I just applied it to business, to my own coaching practice, right? And hopefully you're hearing and you're picking up on some new ways of thinking, right? That is invaluable. If you can start shifting your mindset, you can start shifting your psychology around how you're currently pricing your offers, right? You're in the winning lane. You're in the winning lane. Right? And then it was $1,000 packages, and then it was $3,000 packages, and I was selling group courses for like $200. And then I started selling those group mentors. I remember I was working with a coach. She's like, look at the value of that group. Like, if you just shift your price, she even showed me, she's like, if you shifted that group program instead of charging $200 for that or $300 for that, if you simply just charged $1,000, you're going to attract a way different caliber of clients. I'm like, yeah, you're right, actually. I remember getting really frustrated that I, at that time, felt like I was wanting my clients' results more than they wanted it for themselves. And so I started increasing my prices. Instead of $1,000 for a one-on-one, it became $1,000 for a group experience. And then it was 10,000 for a one-on-one. And then it was 15,000 for one-on-one. And then it was 20,000 for one-on-one. And then it was 30,000. And now my top package is 120,000, or that's for the whole thing, but depending on how long someone does. Right? And then if we look at where you're at, your income goals, right? If you start thinking about the price points that you're currently charging, this is going to shift everything for you, right? We incrementally, first of all, I didn't, like when we first hit six figures, which was the year of 2019 to 2020, I didn't have heaps of clients. There wasn't heaps of clients. But what I did have was a really powerful message, a really powerful brand, consistency. There was a lot of, the online space was very different back then. But I was selling high ticket, which was how we were able to hit six figures in the first year. This last year, it's just the end of the tax year. So in this last tax year here in New Zealand, we've just done about 450,000. My accountant, she's like, I normally just do calendar year. She's like, do you know you've done like nearly $500,000 this year? I'm like, holy shit, no, I didn't even look at that. I was just looking at the calendar years. Like, that's fucking amazing, right? With a tiny audience. And this is the thing that I want you to really understand. Wherever you're at right now with your audience, with your community, right? You've got everything that you need. If we're here and we're having this conversation, it's because you're amazing at what you do. It's because your work is life-changing. It's because you help your clients get amazing results. It's because you're here for a big life and you're ready to make so much more money doing what you know your soul came here to do, right? You've got so much to share. And so you've got all of the pieces, and with a couple of tweaks, right? There are a couple of strategic tweaks that you'll want to make, and we're going to go through those in a moment. I'm going to share with you those 7 things. And you can either take them away and do them yourself, or I've got an incredible offer that I am so freaking pumped about. This is the first time I've done anything like this, where I will be helping you build out your offer, getting very clear on your ideal client, and then getting very clear on the messaging. And these 3 things are super important. The offer itself, the messaging of that offer, and then making sure that that is the right fit for your client. And then of course the internal work to be able to hold these new levels of income. Right? I was speaking to a client recently, and I said, like, if you, like, look how easy it is for you to receive, say, $60 or $100. The fastest way, it's an energetic shift, but the fastest way to start selling $10,000 packages, or even 5,000, or even 15, whatever your goals are, whatever you feel. Again, we work on the pricing together, if that's another piece that's super important part of the offer, right? But the shift is to make it as easy for you. It should feel as easy for you to receive 10,000 as it does for you to receive 1,000. It should feel as easy for you to receive 5,000 as it does for you to receive 500 or 50, right? Like, that's the energy behind it. And that's where a lot of the work is. We can give you the strategy, but so much of the transformation, when I've seen clients do this, like I think of one client, it's so exciting. I'm going to give you the steps in a moment, but this is like, if you can go away and sign a high ticket client today or this week, that would freaking blow my mind, and I would be so excited for you, and I'd be life-changing. I remember so many amazing examples of this, right? Not in my own life, but when I share this with clients and when we're looking under the hood of their business and we realize these gaps, right? It's game-changing. I help them do this, right? Like I said, I'm going to give you the steps that you can go away and do it yourself. If you would like my help for you to do this, then High Ticket Buyers is the new program that we've just created. It is fucking phenomenal. It is amazing. I'm so excited about it. If you're a current client, message me, because there is a special offer exclusive for you. If you're new to my world, it's currently on early bird, which it's literally game changer. So I think of, oh my gosh, a client who came to work with me less than 5 years ago, and she was doing like $300 a week. She was hardly making money. She'd been in business for nearly, I think it was like 10 years by that stage, or 8 years, like a long time. And she was struggling. She was selling these low ticket offers, and she was doing sessions, and she was doing readings, and she was having people come to her in person, and she was working a lot, and she had a young child, and it was a lot. And so she came to me. She borrowed from her family $10,000 to join one of my masterminds. She was like, I want to learn how to do this. I want to get online. I want to be making way more money. She borrowed the money. She had a conversation with someone in her family that she said like that was an activation in itself, because she was like, I had to back myself. Like in that moment going, this is what I'm going to, she had to back herself. And that, again, that energy of I'm fucking doing this, no matter what, I'm going to do this. That creates such an energetic shift. Now she is doing multi 6 figures per year. They're crushing it. Her husband wasn't on board to start with, but then after seeing the results and seeing her showing up, and her belief in herself, right? He used to get annoyed with what she was doing, or annoyed that she wanted to invest money into something that wasn't yet bringing in that much money. And she started doing 6 figures and multi 6 figures. She bought her dream property while working less and less and less, because one of the very first things that we worked on was her ability to sell high ticket. Now she's fucking changing lives. She's a sought after leader. Many of you probably know her. She's doing amazing. And the monster was in mastering those high ticket sales. Can think of another client as very like similar timing. She's now doing 100K month, 50K to 100K months. She's traveling the world with her family. She is running retreats around the world. Like, mind-blowing. 5 years ago, same thing. Her husband didn't agree with it. He was like, I don't know. She was selling $25 yoga class sessions and struggling. She wasn't even making money in her business every single month. And again, she invested 5 figures to learn from me. And when we looked at what's going on in her world, it was the same thing. Like we needed to reposition everything, repositioned her message, her brand. And now she's well on her way to 7 figures a year. She's surpassing me. She's like crazy. All right. And that is because these stories are so incredible and they blow my mind. But it's not, I mean, it's a little bit of magic, but when you actually look behind the scenes, it's not. Right? There are strategic shifts that are taking place when you see someone blow up, when you see someone accelerate, when you see someone quantum leap. There's stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And yeah, there's the manifestation and there is the energetics that then begin to compound and create the results. But the first shifts are in mastering the high ticket sales. Like every one of my most successful clients, those that are doing multi 6 figures, 7 figures, they've all mastered high ticket sales. And so this is something that for the first time, I really, 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 really want to help you with in a group. I've never run a group version of this before. It's always been in like closest proximity spaces. So these shifts, are you ready for this? Has this been helpful? Type a yes in the comments. If you're feeling the activation that you're so ready for your next level, you're so ready to start selling higher ticket, you're so ready to start serving in bigger ways, you're so ready to call in more dream clients. And the most beautiful thing is, and a mindset shift around this is most people think that by selling higher ticket, it's going to require more work, or they go, what am I going to include? But you're not charging for your time. You're not charging for giving more. You're charging for the value that you provide. Right? In fact, actually, there's so much that I want to share. We're going to go into the 7 steps, into the 7 pieces that when you do this and you implement this, things will change, right? When you stick with it, when you don't quit, when you stick with it, right? And I can never tell you how quickly you're going to get it, right? Because for some of you, like everyone comes with different backstories. When I look at this from a shamanic and an energetic perspective, you might see someone creating amazing results online, but you don't know their lineage, right? They've got there's a lot of ancestral stuff that's happened. Or most people look at, okay, the starting point was they started their business 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, or 10 years ago. But in actual fact, the reason why they're creating the success that they are now is because their great grandparents made a decision that shifted the wealth in their lineage, right? And so these are all the things to consider as well, right? That's, again, I just find that helpful to remember that actually, even if someone's been doing something for X amount of time, you don't know what they've had to do to be able to get there, right? Or what's gone on in their whole family line and their whole upbringing. There's a whole lot of factors into it. So the reason I say that is because what I notice in the coaching industry is that so many people end up like quitting or deciding that something doesn't work because they tried it a few times and it didn't work for them. When in actual fact, the things work. You just got to stick with them. Right? I was just listening to a podcast this morning by Terry Savoy. I can't remember her name. Oh my goodness. Terry Savoy. But she was telling the story of Henry Ford. It's like everyone quits right before they're about to strike gold. And so no matter what, from here, keep going. Keep going. There's a long way to say that. All right, number one, what you're going to do is you're going to get very clear on your client, right? Who are you helping? What is the problem that you're helping solve? What is the type of person that you're working with? Now, I don't know about you, but I used to hate this question because I would say, well, my work can help everyone. My work can help everyone. Who relates to this? My work can help the masses. My work can help so many people. And yes, this is true, but the shift that I have noticed works the best when I'm helping someone shift their business, whether they're going from startup to 6 figures, whether they're going from 6 figures and they're on their way to 7 figures. The shift that happens is when someone goes, okay, I might be able to help people, a lot more people one day, but right now if we laser in and we focus on one specific client, or you could have like different variations of that client, right? It might be that you help entrepreneurs. It might be that you help mothers. It might be that you help small business owners. It might be that you help athletes. It might be that you help specifically rugby players. It might be that you help teenage girls, right? And what we want to do is once you have the general area, right, your messaging is going to be different depending on who you're speaking to. So this is why we want to clarify who you are speaking to, right? At a soul level, where are they at emotionally, physically, financially, energetically, and where do they want to be, right? Maybe it's not so much a career or an industry or anything like this. Maybe it's just, okay, it's this type of person. From there, the second piece is that you're going to shift your messaging, right? If you're wanting to look at selling higher ticket, increasing your prices, I'm loving your comments. So ready, hell yes, amazing, you guys, you rock. All right, the shifts to be selling high ticket is you're going to get even more specific. So you've got your client, but now you're going to get even more specific. And you're going to focus on the specifics, not being generic, right? So for example, if you're a health coach or you're working someone with their energy or you're working with someone to live a better life, right? Instead of saying, look, I'm going to help you have more energy. Okay. Versus, look, I'm going to help you wake up naturally before the sun. I'm going to help you crush your morning routine and stay productive and energized throughout the day, 7 days a week. Like so specific, right? The person who's like, I want more energy. I want to wake up without the sun, before the sun. Like that's hitting a very specific desire for someone who's probably currently experiencing lethargy. They're probably experiencing not waking up before the sun. They're probably experiencing sleeping in and not setting themselves up for the day properly, and they're not being productive, and that's really frustrating for them, right? And then that's where your messaging would then also speak to that. You give detail, you paint the picture, you tell them this is exactly what's going on, and this is when you're going to have people reading your content, and they're going to be like, yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. Right? This is something that is a game changer. This is one of the things that I'm helping you a lot with if you decide to do high ticket buyers, because this is such a important piece of the puzzle, is nailing the messaging. like every single post. You can just send your post and I'll give them feedback, and that'll help you create the post that's going to speak exactly to your soulmate client, so that you sell your high ticket offers with ease, so that you have more high ticket buyers, so that people are paying you way more money with like over and over and over again with so much more ease from your perspective. It's not about working harder. It's not about adding more. We'll speak to that piece in a minute. Okay, the third piece is, this is where you're going to look at the ROI of your work, right? The return on investment of your work. Now, I don't want you to just look at the dollar value. You can look at the dollar value, but let me ask you this. How does someone's life change because of your work? If you were to sit down with someone and you were to spend 3 months with them, how does their life change? How do their relationships change? How does their career change? How does their health change? How do their finances change? How does their happiness change? How does their energy change? What's happening for them? What's happening around them? How do they start showing up? How do they start living as a result of spending 3 months with you? And then how does that transformation that you've helped them with, how does that show up in their life 10 years from now? How does their life look in 10 years from now because of what they did with you way back then? Way back then. Right? I think of this, right? When I started the business, and the business then started doing enough so that Dane could leave corporate, and then it was on me to make the money for the household. That created an energetic shift in our relationship. Right? Normally it's like the man provides. Dane always made more than me in corporate, even though he worked way less, and that used to really frustrate me. And I worked really hard and I made maybe like half as much, right? And that really infuriated me. And then when I started the business, I was the one that started making all the money, but it also meant that the responsibilities were on me. It was on me to pay the team. It was on me to pay the rent. It was on me. He was then supporting me in business. That changed the dynamics of our relationship massively. I'm sure you can imagine, right? I had to work like how to shift from my CEO hat during the day into my feminine wife hat in the evening. And this was how do I shift the energy of that? And I would, this was a big deal for us for a long time. And then I looked at our goals as a couple, as a family, as a household, and I looked at our business goals. And one of the goals that we had was to next level our relationship, was to next level our connection. And it wasn't so much, we didn't do anything together, but I hired a mentor to help me with this into my femininity more. And I think of that investment, it was a 5-figure investment, multi-5-figure investment years ago. I am still receiving the benefits of that work that I did. I think it was like 8 weeks or 10 weeks or something, maybe 12 weeks, I can't even remember, several years ago, right? Which seemed like a lot at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. It was the most I've ever paid for something that's not business related whatsoever. But still to this day, it's continuing to do amazing things in my life, right? That work that I did back then. And so knowing that, I'm like, I can say like she wasn't charging enough. In fact, after that, she ended up charging way more, which I'm so excited for her about. And she's a dear friend of mine as well, right? And so I want you to think about the results that clients have told you that they're getting years from now, right? If you have clients messaging you going, oh my gosh, that work that we did several years ago, right? Or if you're new in your business, again, you don't necessarily have to be in a business for a long time to start charging high ticket, right? Because it's the value of your work and you're already an expert in what you do. But I want you to look at the results that you've helped people get, and I want you to look at the feedback that people are giving you years down the track. And when you take that feedback, and maybe it's for yourself, maybe you're looking at your own life and your own journey, you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, that is insanely valuable. Right? That is insanely valuable. It's not just what they're paying for in this 3 months. It's not just what they're paying for in this 6 weeks. It's not just what they're paying for in this 6-month journey or in this 12-month journey. This is working time and time and time and time and time again, right? Invested 6 figures into a mentor 5 years ago, right? And I just made 6 figures and I'm like, cool, I'm going to hire you because I want to be in that space. and it was just over 100,000, I think it was 120, 110, something like this, $1,000 container. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out, I'm gonna make it work, I'm gonna make it happen, it's gonna work. Right? Which sounds insane. Like it was not a logical decision whatsoever. Not at all. But I'm like, well, my goal is to become a millionaire. My goal is to have a really successful business, and my goal is to create a lot of wealth, and my goal is to be the wealthiest person in my lineage, and the goal is to have an 8-figure business actually. So investing $100,000 makes sense to me. Still to this day, stuff is still landing. I'm going back and I'm using techniques. It's transformed my work. It's transformed my clients' work. It's transformed, like, the ripple effect of me making that decision way back then is continuing to work in my life. And I'm so grateful that that version of me trusted myself enough, not the coach, not the mentor. I trusted myself to get what I needed from that space. And that's the biggest shift that you'll probably get to make in your messaging as well, because you've got the tools and you've got everything to be able to support your clients, right? And when you're messaging to the person that's going to pay your high ticket fees, to pay your high ticket prices, right? You're speaking to someone that's very self-empowered. They're not looking for rescuing. They might be looking for more answers. They might be looking for different ways to do things. They might be looking to pick your brains. They might be looking for different perspectives. They might be paying to get your expertise on exactly what their blind spots are and help them create a pathway to their goals. Absolutely. But it's teamwork, right? One of the biggest things, if I'm doing a sales call with someone, which I very rarely do, but some people like to have calls, the biggest thing that I'll do is I'll say, look, it's not me doing this for you. I can't achieve your goals for you. You have to do that. I can provide you with all the stuff, but you need to meet me halfway. And it's still going to be up to you. Just because you make this decision, just because you make this big investment, I don't want you to make this investment if you think that I'm the one that's going to get the results for you. No, that's not how this works, right? And I find that by having that conversation up front with clients, they then step into it very empowered, right? And they ask different questions. And so when you do this with your clients, right, when you do this with potential clients, from the energetics, right, one of the biggest things is like, okay, if I'm charging her, I'm going to need to give her, I'm going to add more hours, right? That's not necessarily true. Because when you're showing up and you're like, look, this is a $10,000 program, or this is a $5,000 program, or this is a $20,000 program, here is the outcomes, here is the return, here is the picture, right? Obviously their goals, it's going to be different depending on your work, depending on your industry, depending on who your clients are and what they actually want, right? Which is one of the most valuable things that you can continue to spend your time doing as a business owner, is nail down who your client is, what they want, what's the experience, what's the customer experience, which is all the things we're going to be doing in high ticket buyer, right? The buying experience, what it's going to be like for them, the level of involvement that you have. And it might mean that you spend a lot of time with them, right? One of the easiest ways to sell high ticket is to give more access to you, right? Or is to give access to you. But when you set the parameters that it's a teamwork experience, right? It's not you doing all the work for them, unless you're like a copywriter or something, or you're helping someone with their marketing, right? For example, when someone's buying my highest ticket, closest proximity offer, I've got 3 different one-on-one offers, right? Which I highly recommend that you do as well, right? I think at least 3 different options for someone to work close proximity with you and in your investment. When someone's doing my highest level one-on-one, I'm helping them make their content. I'm helping them literally write out. They give me the idea and I'm like, here, this is what we're going to change. This is what we're going to do differently, right? Do this instead. Say this instead, right? Like, I'm very, very hands-on and involved in that way, right? And so you're still helping them achieve a certain goal, right? Now, the 4th thing that you're going to do is you're going to get clear on the process of how you create the high-level transformation, right? What would someone need to know? You're going to ask yourself, this is as you build out your offer, what would someone need to know? What would someone need to experience? What would someone need to unlock to transform their lives and to get a 10x ROI for years to come, right? Maybe 100x. I was speaking with a client recently and she's like, Libby, when I hired you, I was doing like 150K per year. Now I'm doing like I think she's doing like 250K or close to. And she was like, but I haven't been working anymore. Like, it's just thanks to your mindset shifts And again, one of the things we worked on was increasing her prices. So she's working with the same amount of clients, not having to work so much harder, but she's added an extra 6 figures. And that's just year one. Like she said, the stuff that we did in, I think it was 2023, is still manifesting in her life. It's still paying off. She's like, she's now got the confidence and the skills to continue growing from that one investment that she made back then. Right? And so when you think about what are the things that you need to be teaching your clients in order for them to get the result, this is where you're shifting from needing to do more for them, right? You might be doing more for them, right? But it also might be actually that you're just teaching them these things, you're supporting them with the implementation and the embodiment of that, and then you're trusting them that they're going to be able to go away and do that for themselves as well. They continue getting results over and over again, beyond the container, beyond the time that you're working together. Number 5, you're then going to create an offer that allows that to happen, right? So you think of, okay, what's the most fun way for this to happen? What's the most fun way? What's the most epic way to get this transformation, right? With my highest ticket offer, in my offer suite, my product suite, the highest level one includes a bespoke retreat. This is what I find my high level 7-8 figure clients, they don't necessarily want a long 12-month thing. They want a really quick 3 months or even 1 month or even just a one-off experience. And this is where I created in-person experiences. And so I do a bespoke in-person VIP luxury immersion, which is like a one-on-one retreat. Or sometimes I've had like couples come, so it'll be the entrepreneur, it'll be the woman that I'm working with and her husband. In fact, actually I've done that a lot, many times, right? Because it's not just the woman that's on board, it's not just the person that's on board. Often it's, okay, well, what else is needed to happen to help them get the results? And one of the obstacles that I notice a lot with my clients, and some of you might feel the same, is the biggest thing that keeps so many women stuck is their husbands aren't on board. Their husbands don't understand what's going on. And one of my favorite in-person immersions is, obviously they're all amazing, but one of my favorite in-person immersions was when when I'm working in this way, I'm part of their team, I'm part of their C-suite, I'm on their success team. And really I'm like, okay, what needs to happen in order for this person, in order for my client to get the most amazing results? So we created this in-person experience. I got Dane to come, and I got her husband to come, and I got her family to come, her kids, her child, and I also got my CFO to come, who then she hired him as her CFO, and we all had a massive team meeting. We all got to connect. Dane and her husband, they then did some work together, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, do you mind, like, the client's paying a lot. Like, do you mind if we do that? If you do this? He's like, absolutely. It sounds awesome, right? So he invested his time. I got him to come along, her husband, and that was revolutionary. Not just for her business. She's now crushing it. She's doing amazing. Not just for her business, but for their marriage, right? And so that's what I'm looking like. And so you're thinking about, how do you create the best experience, the most amazing transformation for your clients? How can you be creative in what that experience looks like? Right? Is it online? Is it in person? Right? Is it in person? Right? And then I know that if I'm going to spend days with someone, that's a massive investment, because each day I've got a dollar value on each of, on my time as well. Right? So the same thing with you. You're going to have the dollar value on your time. You're going to know what your time is worth. Right? But you're not basing your offers on just the time. You know what the time is worth, but you're also basing it on the outcome. Right? Right, so I know that if someone's investing 5 figures for a weekend with me, they're at least going to add an extra 100K to their income. That's just this year, let alone all the other shifts that come. Right? And so drop a yes in the comments if you're feeling this, by the way, and if your mind is starting to have these new ideas coming through, because I'm so excited for you. And this is a game changer, right? It's so much fun. The 6th piece, right, we kind of touched on it, we've spoken about it a lot, is you're going to decide what the price is. Right, now you're going to look at who is the client and is that actually doable for them. I was speaking with another client recently. He's just quit his job. He's gone full-time into his business, which is so exciting. And we did a 6-month container together. And again, I'm constantly looking at, how can I just help you? Like, how can I help you crush your goals? Like, how can I create something that's going to work for both of us? And I'd said to him, he said at the start of the 6-month one-on-one, like it was a one-on-one kind of container. And I said at the 6-month, we were setting our goals for the journey. And he told me that he wanted, that his crazy stretch goal, like outrageous goal, was to be full-time in his business by the end of our container. By the end of the 6 months, he was like, I was like, if you could achieve anything, what would it be? He's like, I would be full-time. I was like, you're going to, oh no, within a year. That's right. He said, within a year, I want to be full-time. I said, you're going to be full-time in your business way before that. And he's just gone full-time. Right at the end of our 6 months, he went full-time into his business. He quit his job. First of all, he reduced, after like 3 months, he reduced down to 4 days. And I said to him, we were talking about the pricing of his offer suite as well. I'm helping him sell high ticket, same thing. He has a background as a personal trainer, so he's very much thinking of like $100 per hour. I'm like, your work is way more powerful than that. So we chatted about the pricing. We had that one of our calls where we were speaking about the pricing. And I said to him, if I had told you, I said, what would you say to that version of you who invested 5 figures? You know, I think it was like 5 figures. And he's like, oh, like it was a stretch, but I'm so glad that I did it because it was worth like insane value, the value that he gets. And I said, now if I told you that that was 30K, what would you have said? And he's like, oh no, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that, right? But yet my clients who pay 30K or 50K, right? They're like, well, I'm going to be making 300K per year. I'm going to be making $500,000 per year. I'm going to be making $1 million per year soon, like at some point. I'm going to have $1 million business soon. I'm going to have $1 million in lifetime revenue soon. I'm going to be doing multi-six figures soon. So 30 or 50K to learn how to do that from you and learn the energetics and the, I know that if someone, I do business very differently, right? It's most of my clients hire me because it's not just the business, it's not just the strategy, there's also a huge energetic and spiritual component to it, which I know that no one that I've come across, there's obviously people doing very similar things, but I know that there's like a whole life transformation, right? And so the clients that pay 30, 50K, they're like, well, that makes sense, right? But I asked my other client who was working a job, a salary, right? Again, you can change out what's included in your different offers, right? To help your clients achieve different goals, right? And so he's like, but he said, now I would happily pay 20, 30K. But back then, it's too much of a stretch, right? And so what we want to look at is where are your clients at and what's the appropriate offer for them based on where they're at financially, right? How do you price that? Do you price it per week? Do you price it per month? Do you price it as a whole package, right? Let's say you decide to do a $10,000 offer. You might just say that that's about $250 per week, probably less than that actually, right? And that might feel more doable for you. It might feel more doable for your clients too. If you were to say it's $10,000, they might go, oh my gosh. In fact, I remember when I was in corporate and I wanted to work with someone, they said it was $10,000. I'm like, that's outrageous. There's no way I can do that. So instead, I just changed the timeline and changed the amount and still found a way to make it work. Right, and so you're looking at what is, where are your clients at? What's required for them to start getting the results and what's required for them to feel confident in paying that price. Now, the 7th piece of this, right, kind of bleeds into this, is you're going to embody that price. You're going to have full conviction in that price. You're going to have full confidence in that price. Right? It might feel stretchy, but it feels like you feel it. The sensation is like you feel it in your bones. It's like, you can't even argue the value of it because you're the living embodiment of your work. You've got so many people around you who are the living embodiment as a result of hiring you. Right? And so these are the shifts that I really, really would love you to make. Now, for the sake of time, there's so much more that I would love to do with you. But, oh my gosh, yes, Jess, we watched this from the start. Yes, you are going to love this. Right? Hopefully this has been insanely valuable for you. I would love, 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 love to help you not just build out your high ticket offer. I would love to help you start signing high ticket clients. I know how life-changing it is. I feel emotional speaking about it. And if I can help more spiritual, soul-led, heart-led entrepreneurs, visionaries, coaches, healers, consultants to sell high ticket, I know how much your life is going to change. I know how much your business is going to transform. I know how much your income is going to transform. I know how much your relationships are going to transform. And especially for those of you who have a partner who's not necessarily on board with it, and then you start all of a sudden making all this money, like thinking, oh, okay, all right, should have believed in you, sorry. Right? I know this work is so, if you can master selling high ticket, right? And the people that you're working with, they value it and they show up and they get results, right? So many of you, your clients aren't even valuing what you're offering because your prices are so cheap. They're like, nah, it's $100, it's $500, it's $1,000, like, that's fine. Whereas if you're like, this is a $10,000 offer, this is a $20,000 offer, you're going to bring a different game. They're going to show up in a different way. The results that you're going to help them with are going to light you up. They respect you, right? If you feel depleted or not respected or not valued by your clients, same thing. It's because you're not valuing yourself, to be quite frank. You're not valuing your offers. And how do you teach people how to treat you is how you treat yourself. And so if you're treating yourself in a way where you're saying, I don't value my work, so I'm not putting a price tag on it because I want it to be affordable, energetically, what do you think that that's doing? Right? What do you think that the energetics of that is communicating to the people and to the world around you? What sort of people do you think that it's starting to attract into your world? Right? If that's the case, you're probably getting so many price objections. You're probably getting so many people telling you that now's not the right time. You're probably getting so many people saying that they really, really, really want it, but they just can't afford it. And the reason that's happening is because they don't value their transformation. They don't value what you're offering. And the reason you're attracting them, the reason that's happening, the reason that they're coming into your world is because energetically you're showing up in a way where you're trying to prove, you're trying to convince. And so instead of high ticket buyers seeing you and it's beyond, right? The energy that you're coming from, it's beyond even anything that they're reading. The first thing is like, they're feeling it, scrolling straight past. They're hiring someone else for way more. And you see that and you're like, I'm way actually more skilled than they are. And that person's just hired that person. And I know that I could help them way more. And they've just paid way more for it. The difference is because that person has valued themselves and their work. Right? So if you're ready for that, this is exactly what we're working on in high ticket buyers. And just go ahead, and for those of you that were here at the start and you typed in a number around your confidence, just go ahead and type that number, what that number is now out of 10. How confident do you now feel after this conversation in your ability to sell high ticket? Oh my gosh, Erin, holy shit, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. From a 2 to a 9, fuck yeah. Oh, so good, so good. All right, my loves, this has been amazing. You're incredible. Your work is life-changing. You're changing lives. You're changing the world. The people that are doing your work and hiring you, their family is changing. Their lineage is changing. And I am so excited for you to finally start getting the results that you want and that you deserve. I would love to help you do that. If not, that's totally cool. Either way, High Ticket Buyers is the place that I will be helping you do that for those that would like my support. 10 so fit is incredible, confident, amazing. So good, Erin. So good. Okay, more confidence. 8 out of 10, you were a 3. Okay, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you guys. All right, gotta run. You're amazing, and I will chat with you very, very soon.